Good evening. Welcome to Sunday at 7. I'm so glad you're here. This is our relaxed Sunday space. It's a chance to wind down the weekend, share stories, and enjoy good company. Each week, we'll share stories, reflections, and plenty of friendly conversation, all in a relaxed Sunday atmosphere. Pop a hello in the chat, grab yourself a brew and settle in. I will love hearing your thoughts as we go along. Let's get started with this week's Sunday at 7. I didn't get off on the right foot, really. Nothing's gone right. I don't know what's happened. But it started. So, as everybody wanted, I've kept the this. Forgot what they call it now, look. Mr. Blobby. Anyway, so I've no idea why the @ symbols come up on the screen, on the chat. I haven't changed the chat at all. All I've changed is my background. So why it's come up as @ I've no idea. I presume bow tie. Thank you, Dom. That was the word I was looking for. Bow tie. I've kept the bow tie, and because somebody mentioned it last week about a polka dot, I thought tonight I would start with the polka dot. So I've got it on. So there we go. So where can we start now? What's in the chat? Anything? You see, this thing with the @ symbol is doing me head in now. So I'll have a look later on when I've finished to see what's happened. Evening, Noxie. Nice to see you. So, folks, hope we've all had a good week. Not been blown away by this tart called Amy. I haven't, so there you go. No, you can't change that in this live chat, Bibby. It won't change it. So I don't know. Is it coming up? I presume it's coming up on YouTube with the @ symbol as well, because it's definitely coming into the stream as with the @ symbol. See, I watch it on the yeah, I've no idea, Bibby, but I'll have a look at it late. When I finish tonight, I'll have a look at it in the morning and and see how it goes. The egg's in the building. Hope you enjoyed your swim. I did. There you go, look. The tastiest is in the building. Well, not quite. So, where was I? The wind. I've had terrible wind this week. I called her Amy. Nearly blew me bloody wig off. It was a bit strong, wasn't it? Well, there you go. So at the top of the hour, at the top of the chat, I pinned the link. But if anybody wants to come on, they're quite welcome, and it might give me something to to talk about. You don't want to hear what I've been doing this week because it's the stuff I've been doing for the past 6 bloody months. Hospitals, hate them. Hate bloody hospitals. Anyway, that's besides the point, isn't it? So, now there's a queer thing, look, because, oh no, it's because I had it over. But I didn't have it over. I know, I'm talking to myself. So, folks, anyway, seeing as Levi's in the building, I'll just show him that I can do the fires. I've been doing fires all my life. I used to have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do that fire. So I just thought I'd show you, Levi, that I do know how to do it. And the pictures up on my left are my family. So it's my daughter, my sister, not my sister, my daughter, granddaughter, grandsons, and my son. And they're all there. So that's my little family. Yeah, Levi, I'm sat in front of it to keep warm, mate. It's nice on my back. It's toasty. It's so toasty in this room when that fire's lit. Yeah, Tom, I love real fires. Can't have one, though. I can only have make-believe, virtual stuff. But it's there. It's sat behind me. I just wanted to show that I did have the skill to put the things on. Evening, Gilly. Yeah, so let's go back to the week. I've enjoyed watching football all weekend, and Hull Kingston Rovers on the old knock on the old rugby league. Played like gladiators yesterday. It was a good match. I watched Leeds United play. They played really well. Shame they lost, but they played really well. And I don't think I've watched any others. But saying that, it's my viewing habits are a little bit crap. I watched Tom Cruise last night, and I thought, bloody hell. I don't know how many times I've seen that chupping film, and I still watched it all the way through. So it must have been on the telly about 6 times in the last 3 weeks. So there we go. Spoken for 10 minutes about nothing, and nobody's putting out into the chat that I can bounce off or reply to or whatever. Any boxing? Anybody been to boxing this weekend? Not that I'm that interested, but at least it starts from it. Original, good evening. You haven't missed anything besides me making a total pig's ear of it when I started, but that's normal for me, making a pig's ear of it. What else is there? Tom, yeah. Like I say, I watched Tom Cruise last night, and it was, I think it was from 2018. And then straight afterwards, I watched the one where they blow the aliens to bits. Forgot what you call it now. And I must have watched that 20 bloody times. Where the aliens attack on the 4th of July and the Yanks win everything. No, like I say, Levi, I'm not into bare knuckle. I'm not into boxing at all, to tell you the truth. When I was a bit younger, I watched boxing, but it was basically because my mum watched it, and unfortunately, we didn't have in those days. We didn't have a little thing that you could click and it turned the channel over. And if mum put it on something, that was it. You had to watch it. So, period dramas. So yeah, I watch a few period dramas, but not many. I have been watching a thing called. Well, I'm not into Downton Abbey at all. Tell you the truth, Tom. However, my brother is. That's all he talks about is bloody Downton Abbey. I don't think he watches. Well, he does. He watches the motor racing on a Sunday. I have no idea, Levi, if anybody's coming on. The link's up in the pinned at the top. If anybody wants to come on, they can do. But not very often anybody. Maybe sometimes comes on. You sometimes come on. I don't think I've had anybody else on before. When I first started, I had one on, and he lasted about 10 minutes. So there's no chance of Kel's coming on. So she's too busy in the background writing me book. Yeah, Dom, the heavyweight boxing 30 years ago was quite exciting to watch, Yeah. I'm just trying to think of some of the boxers from back then, but besides Cassius Clay and that. Henry Cooper. I used to watch Henry Cooper. Well, my mum used to watch Henry Cooper, but I watched Abby Noxie. I don't recall you coming on before, but there you go. I've got a very... my memory's not that good. There's nothing to be frightened of on here, I can tell you now. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'm so laid back I could fall off this bloody chair. Ooh, Dom, I don't think you can say things like that. All right. Yes, Doxy, I remember it now. I remember you and Bibby coming on. I do. I was trying to remember the one who came on when I first started. And somebody said, oh, you want to get this guy on because he's really, really nice. And I can't remember who it was, but like I say, it lasted 10 minutes. I couldn't do with it. Did me head in. So he got the divvy back and went. And I haven't seen him since. So there you go. The divvy bat. Yeah, I love it. Who else? Still trying to think of boxes. What was the one who used to go ha ha ha? I can't think his name now. Yeah, Dom. There you go. PC. You've got to be PC nowadays, apparently. Not apparently, allegedly. And as you all know, I am really, really PC. Yeah, I did have to watch tennis occasionally. And McEnroe was quite good for watching. No, it wasn't Kelsey. It wasn't Ralph. It was Frank Bruno, Noxie. That's the person. It wasn't Ralph. It was right. Arthur seems to ring a bell, but I don't think it is Arthur. Nobody has a name like Bloody Arthur on YouTube, do they? They all have, big, highfalutin names like I'm a ding dong, but I'm only called Bob. I don't know. Can't think of one. Chris Packett. It wasn't Chris Packett neither, Levi. Paul, good evening. Henry Cooper, yeah. That was the one I was trying to think of. Because he had that laugh, didn't he? That you actually laughed with him when he went on and started doing his laugh. You laughed with him, and I remember him going on with where did he go on? I think it was Michael Parkinson, or was that Cassius Clay? Michael Parkinson. I think Cassius Clay or Muhammad Ali went on Michael Parkinson 4 or 5 times. So our Enery, yeah, our Enery, that was the one. No, keep going, Levi. It's not Max Oxlong. He was one of yours, though. He was from your, well, saying that, everybody who came on at the beginning was from your channel. So it was one of yours. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, oh, get him on, Grand. Because he was itching. He didn't come on the first one. I did the first one. And all the way through the first one, he kept putting in about, get me on, I'll come on. And in the end, I think it was the second or third time I'd come on, I relented and brought him on. And I think somebody else came on at the same time. One lasted, but he got the bibby bat, I was going to say. He got the divvy bat and he was gone. He was from down south somewhere, which says a lot, doesn't it? Down south. If you're down there or wherever it is, wherever you're sat, it's that way, south. I haven't cottoned on to what? What haven't I cottoned on to? Am I missing something in the chat? Yeah, it wasn't southeast, it was south. Sheffield way. That's south to me. Yeah. But like I say, didn't you? Tom's put ghost. Wow. Ghost. Is somebody in? Oh, right. I presume he's answering. I thought he was on about the film Ghost. When that film Ghost. Oh, okay. Crisp packet. Yeah. Have you been drinking? I take it you've been drinking. Oh, now there you go. I'm fairly certain that rings a bell. Paralytic zone. That certainly rings a bell. Might ring a bell for another reason, but it rings a bell for some reason. But there you go. Anyway, I could sit and try and talk about who that was for ages because it isn't coming into my head. You haven't been drinking then, Levi? Well, there you go. I watched it short this afternoon. It was very short, wasn't it? But I did put a thumbs up in it. So there you go. I've got a frog in my throat. A bit like... oh, right, Don. Yeah, I noticed that you said your dad used to spar with Henry Cooper. He was a big guy, wasn't he? He was a strong guy. I remember him knocking down Cassius. And then they took ages to in the corner because they said his gloves had come undone or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it took him ages to get his gloves right before he come back into the fight. And they reckon that break gave him like his second win or whatever it was, because Henry didn't whack him. Nearly knocked him into next Tuesday, for sure. But yeah, Tom. A bantamweight, I presume that's a low weight. Henry was heavyweight, I think. Yeah, Henry was heavyweight, I think. I never actually went anywhere. I've never been to a boxing match. I've never been to a wrestling thing. I've only ever been to 2 football matches in my life. But I have been to Wembley about 8 times for the rugby league final. Many years ago, we used to get a trip. We used to get a trip from the brewery used to pay the top. I think it was the top 10 publicans, and they used to take, they used to fill up a fairly big minibus. There were 10 of us, and then there were 3 or 4 from the brewery, and a couple of hangers on, and then they'd load up the bus with huggings of bloody beers, and off we'd pop down to London for the day. Very good. It was enjoyable, quite enjoyable, and it was free. That was the most enjoyable bit. It was free, so you can't go wrong when it's free, can you? You can't say, "Oh, that was shit," because it was free. But it was good as well. It was wanting this new Wembley place. It was in the old Wembley place. But yeah, it was enjoyable. And I did go to, when I was really young, I think about 17, when I was in the army, we went to, I'm trying to remember what they called a regatta. It was a regatta we used to go to once a year. The sailing regatta, that is. But I can't remember what they call it. But there you go. Again, yeah, I did, Levi, I did like my cars. I had a Triumph. I think they were called Spitfires. I might be wrong now. It was a bird puller anyway. It's one of those where you took the top off and, you were right, your ass was right on the floor and all that game. MGB, that was it. Is it an MGB? I can't remember. It was a silver one anyway. I remember the colour. It was bloody silver. It went like shit off a stick. But yeah, that was the best one I'd ever had. But I was a younger man then. When I got a bit older, I went for a Ford Granada. That was quite good. I quite enjoyed the Ford Granada. We used to drive down to Spain. Oh, there you go. Look, it's coming now. Tom, that was it, matey. Triumph. Spitfire. Yeah, Levi, a Ford Granada, not a Ford Grandad. A Ford Granada. Ellie, is that Ellie? Why isn't it coming up as EMS? Right, okay. Hello, love. I'm bloody lost now. What was I on? Triumph Spitfire. That's the one, Tom, I'm sure. That was the one that it was a two-seater. You sat really low, and it was like a sports car basically, and you could take the roof off and stuff like that. Like I say, it was a cracker of a bird puller. Because back in the day, I could pull the birds. Now I have to drag the buggers. But there you go. So, my very first car was a Triumph Herald. Yeah, Triumph Herald. I remember. I don't even know what an RS3 is, so it's no good saying that. RS3. Triumph Herald. Their engines were so easy to make fix. It was unbelievable. I did once change the big ends on a Triumph Herald from underneath. So shows how easy it was to work on. It'd have been better for me just to, take the bolts out, take it out and put another engine in. But I didn't, being young and cocky, I decided I was going to fix it myself. But I did. It took me quite a while, but I managed it. So anyway, that's the cars. All right, RS3 is an Audi, right? I don't know whether we had Audis back in the day. Don't ring a bell. Don't Audis. Fords, Morris. Don't know if they were called Morris, but it was a Morris Minor. Yeah. And I've never had an Orion, I know that. What's that car that they call it? It's the it's the no, I can't remember what it's called now. It'll come to me in a little bit. Yeah, Noxie, saying I had to adjust the points. Well, saying that, most people in this crew will probably know what the points are on a car, but you can't imagine that the younger generation would know what points are on a car, because you don't have to do them nowadays, do you? It's all to do with computer shit. Allegro, that's the one that I think it's an Allegro that used to be the one that people who wanted to drive round as though they were millionaires drove. There's a word, and I can't. Do you know the words? Going, just can't get into my head. I don't know what it is. So, Escort XR3. Now there's one I know, but Escorts are fairly old, aren't they? I don't know if the XR3i are, but Ford Escort are from way back in the day. But anyway, we was on about. No, we wasn't. I was going to say we were on about films, but it was something I'd read in the stream, and it brought a film to mind. Austin Princess now. Yeah, I remember those. I remember Austin Princess. And those were the days when if you bought a car and you were unlucky, you know, it always wanted something doing to it. You knew damn well it was a Friday. It'd been built on a bloody Friday because all the shit cars got built on Fridays. Because, of course, they were all going home. Was there Mistro? I don't remember the Mistro. Well, there you go. There's some names coming out. You know, I'm trying to... Ford Cortina. Well, Ford Cortina, when my sister got married, back in 1960 something, I can't know, 50, 60, probably 1970, beginning 1970. Me and her husband bought a Cortina between us because we couldn't afford to buy one ourselves, so we put together and we shared it, really. But Ford Capri, do you know, when you say Ford Capri, the first thing that springs to mind is there'll be White Cliffs of Dover. Forgot what her name is again. My parents had a flat 40 years ago. That was horrendous. A flat? Do you mean a flat tyre, Dom? Or a flat? I've had a few flats in my time. But, you know... well, there isn't many in the chat, Paul, to tell you the truth. But anybody who had a Mini, put one. And because I've had quite a few cars, I've only ever had one new car. That was in 1989, and I bought a Renault. And I'd only had it 10 minutes. I was in the middle of Harrogate, going to the pub we had in Harrogate. Picked the car up, drove out the garage, got to the top of the hill, and a bloody great wagon whacked straight into me. So I had a new car for 10 minutes. Lovely. I like Renaults. I'll tell you what is a nice car. It's that, what's that Danish one? The Danes built. Saab. Because the Saabs are, even though Renaults are built with comfort in mind, the Saabs are built with comfort and safety in mind. And yeah, Paul, Saab. So they're quite nice motors. I don't know if Saab's still around. I presume they are. I know they make aeroplanes and shit like that, so I presume they're still making cars. Volvo now. Volvos were What were Volvos? They were big and hefty Volvos. I don't think I ever owned a Volvo though. Like I say, Noxie, I'm not sure if Saab still manufacture. I know they make aeroplanes and stuff like that. That's the one, Tom, I was thinking of, the one with the hydraulic system at the back. And as you turn the engine on, the hydraulic used to lift. If it was heavy, it would lift it up, you know. Well, it lifted it up every time, but yeah. I don't think I ever owned one, but I do know somebody who had one, and I've driven it a few times. Could be my brother who had one. He used to be all us getting stuff like that. So Saab went bust. Wow. What, the motor car side went bust? Or because I'm sure I saw a thing on my Facebook the other day from one of my cousins over in Denmark, and I'm sure he'd put something about buying NATO should be purchasing Saab warplanes. I'm sure it was. Could be wrong. I might have misread it. It was in Danish, so my Danish is not that good. Yeah, you could carry all sorts in them bloody Citroens with that. When the back would lift up, didn't have to take some weight. Yeah, well, there you go. Lots of these car companies went tits up, didn't they? Because if it wasn't if it wasn't crap builds, it was spare parts. Because the spare parts used to cost more than the bloody car used to cost. That's why everybody used to buy. Well, saying I used to get most of my spare parts from the local. I was going to say skip, but it's not. You know where the breakers yard. Just go into the breakers yard and just go around there and get out the bits you want. Go to them and say, how much do I owe you for this? So. Well, yeah, there's been some good cars and there's been some crap, hasn't there? Quite honestly. There's been some that I don't think I'd ever put my body inside, quite honestly. Trying to think of one of them silly cars. Tom, I've had loads of nightmare in the kitchen and cooking. I can tell you now. You know that at the moment those across in Northern Ireland are getting veterans up in court saying that they murdered this bloke or they murdered that, they murdered my uncle, they murdered my aunt, all of it. And how, after 30 years, can somebody say, yeah, it was him? There's no bloody evidence, is there? I mean, I can remember in Northern Ireland we were on a patrol towards Armagh way, and we got shot at from the other side of the border, and we returned fire. But we didn't ever hit anybody. But if you did hit anybody and he died, and 30 years later they come and say, "Oh right, you killed this guy," well, how would they fucking know if there was 20 of us shooting at him? Didn't say on my bullet, "Oh, Paul's put this one in here." Not that I couldn't have hit a bloody band, or I could when I was first started, but I couldn't afterwards. Anyway, so back to the kitchen. Back to that story, really, because that's what brought the story into my head, was taking all these veterans to court for murder. And I sent a letter, but it was an email, really. I sent an email to my local MP, and I said, all these veterans who are getting brought up in the courts in Belfast for murder, I just want you to know that if they take me for murder, I can say, yeah, it was me, because I've murdered a few stakes in my time, I can honestly say. So if you hear of an old fool that was up in court in Northern Ireland for murder, it might be me for murdering stakes, because I've admitted to it on here. Noxie, there's no favourite meal I made in the army. Don't have a favourite, because it's just bog standard meals. We weren't. It wasn't a la carte stuff. It was just food, basically. Liver and onions and steak and chips and Scotch eggs and salads and just normal run of the mill kit food. So yes, baby, that's the point. But where the Irish, all this Irish shit, where they're coming from, because if they can get somebody to get caught, for killing, I don't know, one of their IRA shits, then they can come and get some, we want compensation now. Because that's what they're after. They're after compensation. They're not after, I need to know how he died. We know he fucking died. He got shot in the fucking head. That's how he died. And unfortunately, we came out too early, because we should have shot every fucking IRA twat, because we knew them all. So there you go. Anyway, that's the rant over and done with. So where was our favourite meal? No, we had one meal that I used to enjoy doing, and it was called All In Stew. And what it was I don't know if you know about army rations, but when you're out in the field, you're on exercises and all those type of things, because you can be like just out in the field on the mowers, or Salisbury Plain, somewhere like that, for 3-4 weeks, doing exercises, pretend fights, and we didn't get fresh rations. We got what they call compo, which compo is short for composite. And they used to come in a box, and it used to be a box that would feed one man for 10 days, or 10 men for 1 day. And it had cigarettes in, and it had coffee in, but not them all. I think there was about 10 or 11 different packs, A, B, C, D, all the way through. And they all had different main meals in and all that kind of stuff. So on manoeuvres, Tom, yeah. That's another word for it, on manoeuvres. So of course you'd spend 3 weeks out in the field cooking and whatever, and of course you end up with buckets and buckets of tins of food, and basically what was the crap bit of the food, because it wasn't all good. There was some stuff like just trying to think, mulligatawny soup. you know, nobody ever wanted mulligatawny soup. So, of course, you had bloody buckets of them. Anyway, getting round to the all-in stew. So I don't know if you know about big cauldrons, like boiling cauldrons, huge things, great big things. Fill them with water, turn the gas on, and they boil like shit. And what we used to do is on the last lunch, because we had to clean the kitchen, of course. So on the last lunch, we would get all these tins and chuck them in to these big boiling pans. And then when they came in for the lunch, we used to empty all these tins into the hot plate, and you had to pick 4 tins. Now you could tell, sometimes you could tell by the size of the tin what was in it, or how many rings it had on it. No, none of them had names on. Some of them might have A1, B1, you know, stuff, and you knew what they were in those days. But anyway, that was an all-in stew. So, you know, somebody could have got four tins of stewed steak, and somebody else got 4 tins of mulligatawny soup. So it was just all-in stew. I love it. Now, of course, when we had all-in stew, we knew what was in the tins. So, of course, the cooks got the stewed steak, potatoes and peas and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't eat it while the others were having theirs. We waited till they'd all gone, and then we'd have ours. So there you go. It's one of the perks of being a cook, I suppose, if you can call it a perk. But not all of our ration packs had cigarettes in, and not all of them had coffee in. Some did, most didn't. But you used to get a tin of 50 cigarettes in a tin. They weren't special, they weren't named, they were just bloody cigarettes. But they made you cough, which was all you wanted it to do, wasn't it? Make you cough. So we didn't. You didn't get Johnnies in the food packs. They were issued when you got paid. So you'd queue up for your pay on a Thursday afternoon normally, and you'd put your left hand out, get your money, salute, turn round, and the sergeant would be there with here's your 3 or 4 Johnnies or whatever. I can't remember how many. I used to always say I don't want one. They're not big enough for me. But there you go. I was a good boy in those days. And unfortunately, I'm a good boy now. But there you go. But yeah, if you were going abroad, if you were going to Germany, you got your free fag issue in Germany, which was 200 cigarettes. You got them every week, whether you smoked or whether you didn't smoke. You got 200 cigarettes, and they were they had names on them, So you'd have number 6, Embassy, John Players specials, not John Players specials, John Players anyway. All those type of things, and you got them whether you smoked or whether you didn't smoke. So of course the guys who didn't smoke, the guys who didn't smoke could make a bloody fortune. And the guys who did smoke just got a cough. But yeah, but we did. Besides the free fag issue, you used to get the You used to get the Johnnies and stuff like that, but you had to go. You had to go to the nurses' station. It wasn't a nurse; it was a male nurse, but you had to go to the nurses' station for stuff like that. And yeah, so that was being out on exercise. Used to make a fortune in Capstan full strength. That's the words, Capstan full strength. You know, everybody wanted Capstan full strength for cigarettes. So, well, not everybody, because I didn't like Capstan full strength. I used to go players number 6. Don't know why, but I tried. Brian, good evening. Totally lost the plot now. What I was just saying. Yeah, you could make a fortune in Germany on especially with there used to be chocolate. We used to get chocolate in the compo boxes, and we never ever give the troops the chocolate. We used to trade the chocolate with the Germans for coffee. So we'd give them chocolate that we've got out of our tins that come with the ration packs, and they'd give us coffee. And then, of course, the other way was you had the farmers who would come up to you. Especially, I was with the Royal Engineers, which was, we had big wagons and big earth-moving machines and stuff like that. And the German farmers would come across to you and say, "Look, if you drive across that field there, we'll give you 200 marks or whatever it was. Big money anyway. It was good cash." And the reason they wanted you to drive through their field was then they could claim from the Ministry of Defence for the loss of the whole field. They've lost the crop. So, you drive through the middle of it with a great big earth-moving shitty machine, or even better, a tank. But I never got a chance to drive a tank. And yeah, you could make a fair whack. But we didn't make the money for ourselves. We made sure that the guys, we looked after the troop. I was with 11 Troop Royal Engineers. Can't remember how many there was in the troop. I think it was about 30-ish. So, of course, whatever you made went into the pot. And if they were going out, if they had some R&R out in one of the cities, towns, or whatever you could go to, there would be cash for them. They wouldn't have to spend their own money. So, yeah, it was a very lucrative thing going on manoeuvres or war games or whatever. And we always used to go to a place called Senna Lager. And it always used to piss down with rain. We used to have a month of rain. Because we've been with the engineers. We were the ones who had to go in first to create the landing pads and stuff for the RAF to come into. So, of course, we would go across 2-3 weeks before the war games began, and we'd get the site ready. So we'd dig trenches and, all that kind of stuff. But even though I was a cook, I helped with the engineers, and we used to have to build pads from, and I call it Wrigley tin, but it's not Wrigley tin. It was steel sheets that clipped together, and you put big stays in them to keep them into the ground, and then you'd have to build the big things for the aviation fuel, because we used to take over a great big, like a bloody bag, but it's bloody massive. And we used to take over 10 or 11 of those, and then you'd have to build a great big thing round it, put them in, and then the tankers would come fill it all up with aviation fuel, ready to refuel the aeroplanes when they came in to do their bit. The RAF come in to do their bit. So of course they came in on Harrier jump jets. These Harrier jump jets can land anywhere. Well, they fucking can't. They can't land anywhere. It's got to be a firm surface. They can't land in the field. They can't. It's a load of bollocks. They have to land on a firm surface. So we used to have to go over 3 weeks before and build all these firm surfaces for these Harrier jump jets to go onto. But it was nice when they came over, because the RAF had different rations than us foot soldiers. The posh side of the forces. Navy used to get rum. We used to get cigs, and the boys in blue, besides brew cream, used to get fucking steak. So there you go. But I can honestly say that it was a thrill having the jump jets, because the Yanks, they didn't have them at that time, but the Yanks used to come over to scope out how the jump jets used to work and all that kind of shit. So of course when the Yanks came in, it was even better for food, because they live like pissing kings. But that's only because the greedy bastards. Anyway, we've come up to 8 o'clock, people. It's that time up there somewhere, and it's come to 8 o'clock, and I think I've managed to keep it going. Brian, did I say good evening, Brian? I think I might have done. If I didn't, I do apologise, and good evening, Brian. Tom, just to go on to your point, did the talented put on little shows for entertainment? Well, being with the engineers, we used to. I'll tell you a story later, another night about it, because it's quite funny. So it wasn't while we were on war games or exercises or those type of things. When we were in Northern Ireland, of course we were locked up 24 hours a day, unless of course you could go out and shoot at the IRA. Anyway, I'll tell you about that one another day. So it's come to 8 o'clock. I've enjoyed my hour. Hopefully I haven't bored too many people, and so I'll say, live long and prosper. Don't forget, down below, a like or a dislike. Either way, it's easy peasy. And TTFN, and don't forget, tomorrow night, it's me and Bobby on 7 o'clock, same channel. Have a good night. Thank you for this week's Sunday at 7. Thank you so much for spending part of your Sunday evening with me. I really enjoy sharing these stories and chats with you, and I hope you'll join me next Sunday at 7 for more conversation and good company. If you've enjoyed tonight's stream, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment with any ideas or feedback. I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to catch up on previous episodes, you'll find them all in the Sunday at 7 playlist. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.